Hello humans, and welcome to the premiere of the What If series. We're going to go as long as my voice can go. I just was doing some lemon and honey treatment, some little bit of tea, and I hope I can go and finish up this episode just like I'm starting it here. Very strong. The What If series is something that I've been wanting to do because, you know, when it comes to video game history, I enjoy the hypotheticals. I enjoy the what ifs. I really do. Because there's things in the business of video games that can change on a dime. You know, believe it or not, the story of Halo, the story of Bungie, the story of Microsoft, and the story of Apple could have been a very different one had a person not omitted one word, one name out of the equation. And that's what we're going to study today. Because believe it or not, for those of you who don't know, Halo wasn't originally presented on the Xbox. No. It was presented by Apple, by Steve Jobs himself. Right? By Steve Jobs himself, he presented the game, and man, it started a whole industry fire. And why is that? Because what was put on the screen was something revolutionary. It really was. And what was it that stuck out about this game more than others? For those of you who remember, you'll know, but for those of you who don't, it was really the smooth transition from going indoors to outdoors, right? From the inside to the outside. To that point, pretty much all games were like RPGs. You know, when you get that screen, that transition screen, right? That where you have to see those graphics, that little movie, and you're inside, you go through that, and then you're outside, right? And Steve Jobs was really taken by that in the day, right? He said that this is one of the coolest things he had ever seen. Now, Steve Jobs had the gaming future of the industry, of Apple, of Microsoft, of Bungie in his hands back in the day. How was that? Well, reports are that once Microsoft bought it, he was really pissed, right? He was irate, but why? And it was because of this, because Pete Tamate, I think is his name, or Tamte, I can't remember. He had worked on Apple before and now was at Bungie and came with the offer and said, look, this is the problem we have. See, what happened once everybody found out what was going on and what this game could do, what the possibilities were, everybody wanted this game. The problem is that the development of that type of game would take a lot of money more than the company had. As a matter of fact, they were in talks with Activision to get acquired, right? And they were talking to other people. So Pete comes over and brings this deal to Steve Jobs first because, you know, he had worked at Apple. And Steve Jobs like, no, and he's telling me, well, you know, other people are interested, and Steve Jobs didn't pull the trigger. He did not pull the trigger on this. And lo and behold, they're acquired by Microsoft, right? And that's why he was pissed, because if he would have known that Microsoft was the other company, he would have bought it, right? He actually would have bought it, and that would have changed gaming history forever, guys. It really would have been a game changer for the industry. Let me take a sip now. My voice already ran out. And let's talk about that. Can you imagine, right? Can you imagine a world where Halo would be the flagship video game on your iPhone? It would have been bananas. You know, I would speculate that Apple, with the success of that game, of Halo, would have gotten in the video game market again, back into console making. Can you imagine a dominant Apple in two areas, not only in video games, but in consoles? And let me tell you something, that also would have affected Microsoft, because I believe that if Halo wouldn't have been there, it would have been a whole different ballgame for the Xbox. People were buying the Xbox just to play Halo, specifically. I had friends that only had that game and would only play Halo games. That's it. That's all they had. They didn't care about anything else, right? Some of them would get GTA, but the premier reason they would buy an Xbox was for Halo. And how did they get there? Well, the gentleman that was running, and his name just doesn't come to memory right now, but the head of Microsoft Game Studios, he was a huge fan of Bungie games, of their prior work. So when he saw Halo was out there for bids, he didn't waste a second. He brought everybody over, and then we got what we got, right? And it contributed to the success of the Xbox. Would people that still bought the Xbox for other reasons? Yeah, it would have been a harder road, I believe, right? I don't know that Microsoft would have stuck around as long as they had without Halo in their midst, but that's just, pure conjecture. Microsoft has deep pockets. They probably would have rode it out until the 360, until they hit something big, right? But the launch of the Xbox for sure would have been a lot different. And when people knew that was coming to the Xbox and all the innovations they had to do for it to work on the Xbox, really contributed to the success of the game. But the gaming industry as a whole would have been so much different if a company dominated both in video games and cell phones. Because even though you might not think so, Apple is a huge player in video games. The mobile video game market is huge. Video games for kids, in tablet form are huge. So they still have a huge piece of the pie. But can you imagine Apple having the business that Microsoft has now and the Apple business? Holy moly. Probably the offering of games would have been a lot different because of their connections to, Asian countries, right? Maybe we'd gotten a better selection of games than Microsoft just because they have prior relationships, and they probably would have ported a lot more games, a lot more AAA games to iPhone, right? And part of the deal would be, hey, if you want to sell this in our console, we need a mobile port too, right? That would have been the deal, and that would just be logical for anybody that managed two markets, right? And I want it portable. I want to play, Halo on my console, and I want to play it on my iPhone, and I want to play the same game. I want to update it and what have you. What else could it have affected? I don't know, guys. If I have to think about it, would the Battle Royale would have come out on the iPhone first? Probably, right? By having this game on mobile devices, the ways to play the game would have had to be innovated a lot sooner, a lot quicker, right? Because it's just a different mode of playing. So you would have gotten features a lot faster than you would have, any other way. Look how long Fortnite and PUBG took to come out and take, So, these are the kinds of things that I think about, guys. What kind of different future it would have been. Is it better? In my opinion, no. I don't like monopolies. I like variation. I like having my 3 different consoles. I like comparing the products. I like seeing, what they have to offer, because they're different styles, and there's things that I enjoy about Microsoft, there's things I enjoy about Nintendo, and there's things that I enjoy about PlayStation. I love all 3 of them for different reasons, but that's just the kind of gamer that I am. If 2 of my platforms were exactly the same, it would be more boring to me. But I want you to think about that the whole thing just happened because that one guy, Pete, failed to mention that it was Microsoft that was in competition for this console, right? And that really changed the course of history. All right, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for your likes, your comments. Please subscribe, hit that like button for me, and I will catch you on the next one. And on the next episode of What If, What if Microsoft had actually bought a company that we all love? All right, humans, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.